record. But thank you for watching and my future watchers. Again, this is my channel. I just named it after my name. Made it simple. But today we're gonna get into a few things, kind of similar format. I have some unsolved mysteries. Get into maybe a few true crime stories, and then I found one on True Crime Database. About what is this guy's name again? Rolex Dave. So we'll get into it. Again, this will be crime stories, so if this is something that you cannot handle, please do not hesitate to turn off the channel. But otherwise, we are going to go ahead and get started. The first one, the first stories I did find on Reddit, and I'll let you know I've been finding Reddit, Wattpad, and True Crime. I've been liking those here recently, so those are a few of the stories that I found. There's other websites, good websites too, but right now I'm gonna stick here until I find somewhere else. But first one starts off: what are some of the most fascinating historical mysteries? To get this started and actually bring up one of my favorites, I've been deep into Martin Guerre Rabbit's Hole. Guerre Rabbit Hole, and at this point I'm unsure what to think. I sure hope I know I'm butchering that. Guerre, maybe? I don't know. About to be Martin here in a second. Okay, and this is the original poster posting this, and again, this is on Reddit. A quick rundown for the interested. Martin was a 16th century French peasant who one day left his home village and family behind. Almost a decade later, he miraculously returned, or so the accounts claim. For the next 3 years, his family, including the wife with whom he fathered 2 children in that time, and the villagers, all thought he was a Guerre himself. However, at one point, he got into an argument with his paternal uncle concerning money, because of what else, and was swiftly accused of not being actual Martin Guerre, but an imposter named Arnaud Dutil. Taken to court for the perceived crime, he provided an extensive recollection of the life before his disappearance, including intimate details of the relationship with his wife, which she corroborated as the two were questioned independently and their stories matched. In fact, she was there to testify on his behalf. Although she finally admitted she believed he was her husband at the beginning and then realized he wasn't. Regardless of his perfect recollection, he was found guilty of impersonation and sentenced to death, which he appealed. Then, to everyone's surprise, a man claiming to be the real Martin Guerre appeared. Interestingly, though, he could not recall his life, as well as the supposed imposter. But when stood next to him, the family instantly claimed he was, in fact, the real Guerre. At that point, the imposter admitted he duped everyone after learning of Guerre from 2 men who thought he was him. Supposedly, 2 collaborators later fed him details of Guerre's life to help him set up the impersonation. The imposter was executed, and now, truly returned, Martin Guerre resumed his life in the village. This is interesting, because I don't understand how the family didn't know at first until the argument. Okay, the story, while definitely fascinating, seems closed. Right? Well, not exactly. Many questions remain unanswered to this day. Who actually gave the imposter all those specific details about Guerre's life? That would be my question too, because the imposter should have been able to know everything, right? And then they're saying the real one barely knew anything. And what was this again? Do I have a timeline? It says 16th century. And then my thing, he got executed. So I really hope it was the real one. How did this person know so much about intimate family dealings? Unless Martin wanted to live a different life and just fed this guy information. But this is 16th century. It's not like he could call him up as easily as he could nowadays. Another question was, or was it all a lie the imposter made up? If so, where did he learn all he used to impersonate? And this person actually asked a lot of questions. Says, why did the entire family go along with the impersonation? Some experts claim they did, despite knowing he wasn't the real Guerde from the beginning due to propriety. Guerde's wife needed a man to take care of her and her family affairs. Some others claim, however, that the family, the wife especially, was genuinely duped after not seeing her husband in nearly a decade. Is it genuinely possible, though, to forget how your husband and father of your children actually looks and behaves? After 10 years? Possibly. Especially if you don't have any pictures. I'm not sure how the picture quality and things were at that time. It's possible. Because some of the people you were closest with, and I'll say, and if they either passed or you just don't talk or speak with them at all anymore because of a certain situation, I could see, especially if their body has changed at all, yeah, I could see how you could forget how they looked. Why did the real Guerde suddenly return and exactly at the time the trial about someone impersonating him was happening? That I cannot answer. Unless. But. And then they said the family recognized him instantly. So. I don't know. Why was everyone just fine with an honestly absurd situation of having lived with an imposter for years, having his children, and then just swapping to the real husband and continuing to live together till death? This is just a weird case, to be honest with you. And then it says, did Martin Guerde even exist? With as many unknowns as there are concerning the case, there have been voices suggesting that the case is actually nothing more than a made-up story. Well, that's good to find out at the end. Jeez, I didn't realize I was reading them. Somebody, the comment is actually pretty funny. Someone says, no offense to the original Martin, but maybe the new Martin was an upgrade, so everyone kept their lips sealed. Based on the commercials for Richard Gere, Jodie Foster's movie Summersby, that may be the case. It's an adaptation of the Guerde story. And I remember the exchange, why do you say I'm not the real Summersby? Because I never loved him like I love you. That would be interesting. I never watched that movie. Maybe I should. Oh, man. Oh, yo. This is actually insane. It says, I recall reading he was extremely nice and courteous towards his wife, although I have no idea if the original Martin was the same, better, or worse. And then right under that, someone puts, from what I remember, the real Guerde was kind of an a-hole, and the imposter was very well liked. So the imposter only got found out because there was a dispute over money. So if that never happens, it sounds like the imposter would have been good to go. It says Guerde's wife was in a difficult position when he disappeared because they were still legally married. She couldn't remarry because he wasn't dead. I imagine she was thrilled to have a new husband that she actually liked and probably gave him a lot of the information that the imposter remembered. That is interesting. If she did like him, she probably was like, hey, you remember this? Yeah, I kind of do, but tell me that again. That is interesting. Didn't think about that. Especially, I don't understand why she couldn't remarry, though. That's, especially if you can't find somebody for 10 years. Really? So he could possibly, let's just say, the original Martin started a life with a family. Could have had kids out there, whatever. But she can't remarry? No, that kind of sounds messed up. But this is the 16th century we're talking about. It said it's possible he made up the two other men in order to protect her. Unfortunately, it seems to me that the disagreement about money was the impetus for the family to drop the charade and out him. It certainly is convenient that the real Guerde showed up at exactly the right time. Maybe some of the family was still in contact with him, even if he wanted nothing to do with his wife and kids. That might be the best. That might be the best one. I read about the Guerde case. It says I could see that angle, but Guerde left due to a family dispute concerning money, and then was apparently drafted for a war. Oh, okay. When discharged, he spent years in a monastery. I'm not sure if being a soldier and later being holed up in a monastery allows for a swift exchange of letters with someone from the family, especially considering he left because of familial issues. I do absolutely believe, though, that the new wife fed New Guerre information because she liked him more than her actual husband. Yeah, I can see that. And then somebody under that executed kind of seems kind of harsh. I think so too. Let's say for impersonating somebody, but obviously it could have been that bad if he was around for 10 years. My thing is one family dispute and off of my head. That's that's where I'd be upset. Really? After all I've done, I faked this relationship so well that y'all couldn't know, or maybe y'all did it. Y'all did know, and y'all just want to keep up appearances. Appearances. Hmm. Somebody says, "Okay, I mean, who would know all that about his past, able to provide that to the imposter? What could a woman of that period do without a husband, abandoned, and without means to inherit land? Who could, who could gaslight and convince their fellow villagers that the imposter was the genuine article, not just with their words, but with their actions, acting like they never left the wife?" Yeah. Now that enough people have said it, it probably is the wife that fed all this information. But I wonder why the dispute was so bad over money that they had him killed, and then they obviously were in contact with the other husband for him to show up just like perfect timing. So yeah, that's why I like reading the comments. It gives you more perspective. Somebody else does put, I wonder if the real and the fake husband were both in prison somewhere or in the military, and they shared with each other details of their lives. But still, it's not enough details, or like how I walk, how I move, my wife. Like I can give you stuff about like my family, names and stuff like that, but the stuff that we do on a daily basis, maybe how you act around the kids, I don't know, certain intimate moments. Yeah, like usually guys aren't sharing going that into detail. But if it's just you and your wife, yeah, you might go a little deeper into that. Yeah, this and then somebody says, okay, this is the last string of comments I read. What would be the point of impersonating a peasant? A lord or something I understand, but I'm wondering what his game was here. And then under this, I agree. There seems very little to be gained by impersonating a peasant unless you are trying to hide your real identity and stay below the radar. But given the time period, I expect it to be pretty simple just to just rock up to a new town with a fake name and no one would be any wiser as it wouldn't be easily verifiable. That is true about the times. I feel like, because if you think about it, especially at that time period, if you're a town over, unless you're a frequent traveler, nobody would know who you are. It's not like word would be getting out, especially if you move like 2, 3 towns over. Word's not getting out that fast. The mail probably takes days, if not months, to get to you, depending on how far away it is. So, no telling. And then somebody under this puts, actually, Martin Guerre wasn't exactly poor. In the 16th century France, there was a rapid increase in wealth inequality among peasant classes, and while poverty got worse, some peasants were actually quite wealthy. His own family had property, and at the age of 14, Guerre married an 11-year-old girl from a peasant family with even more property. Okay, again, that's 14 and 11, but that's a different time period. And it says the sources indicate that the family actually had money and land that the new Guerre inherited after his father's death. Okay. And maybe that's why the wife wanted him in, because he actually had some stuff. And maybe that's where the dispute came over money, because the uncle was like, all right, now, how did you get all this? And especially if you Martin. Or you need to share, or we're going to out you. But what gets him killed unless he's somebody higher up, or he's somebody, like how I mentioned, like crimes don't get reported if you go to a new town. Or maybe the king or the lord of that land realized who he was because his real name was Neil Deal 2 or something like that. Let's see. What did it say up here? Arnaud Detil. Yeah, I wonder if I can look him up real quick because yeah, it just pops up under Martin. Yeah, so I would that would be interesting, especially in that time period to be able to do something like this. No telling. But all right, let's get to our next story because we have a couple, or I'm not going to be able to get to them. All right, this one seems to be an update, even though I haven't read the original story, so that might not be. Okay. But it does have a recap in here. All right. So somebody says, and this was about 6 days ago. It seems like this week is one of the major developments. In many cases, first we heard about the discovery of remains of Jimmy J. Lee. DNA tests have confirmed that the remains have indeed belonged to him. And today we've heard of another sad update in another missing persons case. Their original write-up of the Aubrey case, Aubrey Dameron, have been found. This one has a trigger warning. All right. Let's see how this goes. But this one looks like, this one looks like a recap. So, they have a original post as well. Let me see how long that original post is, because maybe we read that first. We do not have time to read this, but I will keep it because you can read this another day. Let me throw this up front, but let me read their recap. Aubrey went missing in 2019 when she was 25 from Grove, Oklahoma. She was a transgender woman and a woman of the Cherokee Nation. She also used to label herself as Two-Spirit, which is a label used by indigenous Americans as an umbrella term for gender variant people that references many pre-colonization identities. Okay, wait, all right, she labels herself as Two-Spirit, which is a label used by indigenous Americans as an umbrella term for a gender variant. Okay. I did not know this. Okay. Aubrey had experienced a lot of bigotry and prejudice in her life from peers at school and strangers. Despite that, she kept her head high and always looked out for other vulnerable people in her life. Aubrey was especially close with her uncle, Christian Fencer, though he was only 6 months older than her. He's gay, and the two always had each other's backs. On the 18th of August 2018, Aubrey went back to Grove to live with her mother and stepfather after she broke up with her boyfriend. The couple lived together in New Mexico. Jay Pearson, Aubrey's ex-boyfriend, said that she moved to Oklahoma to fight her alcohol and drug addiction. But Pam Smith, Aubrey's aunt, claimed that Aubrey was afraid of her ex and that he threatened to kill her if she leaves the relationship. Oh, okay. Aubrey was last seen on the 9th of March around 3:30 a.m. as she was leaving her mother's residence. She sent a message for her friends asking for a ride, but nobody replied. Her GPS reportedly last pinged at 3:42 a.m. on March 9th, about 100 yards from her mother's house. Her mother reported her missing on the 11th of March. Aubrey left the house without her purse and seizure medications and told her family that she was meeting a friend. Her phone last pinged at 3:42 a.m. on March 9th, about 100 yards from her mother's house. Aubrey's social media have been silent since. Okay, this is 2019. There were multiple items of interest found during searches, like a bloody sock or a jacket identical to the one Aubrey was seen wearing when she left the house on the 9th of March. But none of the items had any genetic matches for Aubrey. One of Aubrey's aunts, most likely Pam Smith mentioned above, said that Aubrey's stepfather told Aubrey's mother that he had killed her on the 6th of April. But Aubrey's mother denied that when she was asked about it by the police. Okay, I'm confused though about the timeline. So he's saying that he killed her basically a month after she went missing. Okay. On the 21st of November, sniffer dogs were brought to a pond where Aubrey was last seen. and they hit positive in 4 spots around it. They've also found scent on a tarp with possible blood stains in a movable pool in a shed belonging to Aubrey's family. Sadly, remains belonging to Aubrey have been found near South 565 Road and East 30 Road in the ghost town of Carden, Ottawa County, Oklahoma, on the 31st of January 2025. Oh, recent. Okay. A comparison of antemortem and postmortem dental and medical x-rays was last used to identify Aubrey. No further info about her death has been released, but the investigation is said to continue. It says, my condolences for Aubrey's loved ones, especially her uncle Christian and her aunt Pam, who seem to be the main driving forces behind the investigation into Aubrey's disappearance. She seemed like a sweet, incredibly kind woman who had sadly been through a lot just because of who she was. I feel Aubrey had a chance to become an important and beloved person in lives of so many people, if she only got the time she deserved. Aubrey was a vibrant, caring soul, and the world is a sadder place without her. Still, I'm glad she has been found, and that she could be properly laid to rest. I also hope that the cause of her death was able to be determined, and that if anyone was involved in it, they would be brought to justice. That is sad. Now, I do have a quick question, because I'm pretty sure the transgender part should be a main driving force in this case, in my opinion. Now, clearly it says she experienced a lot of bigotry and prejudice in her life, which happens to a lot of people that are just transgender of that community. So my thing is, where was it that was it a stepdad said, let's see, yeah, Aubrey's stepfather told Aubrey's mom that he killed her on the 6th of April, but Aubrey's mother denied it, and when asked by the police, still, we're not going to check him though. No matter what your beliefs are, I'm gonna say killing somebody is still not right. Don't matter what you believe, what your opinions are. This is I don't understand. I still don't understand why we aren't checking her. And somebody else puts that right under. It's like he should be looked at very closely. A lot of people just saying R.I.P. So somebody else puts. It says, one thing I'm confused about. Did Aubrey's stepfather supposedly confess to the aunt on April 6th? Or did she tell the aunt that the murder occurred on April 6th, about a month after she went missing? The wording is ambiguous. And that said, this is very sad. Hopefully this brings some level of closure. And I agree with that. And I guess I'm confused about that too. It says, the original poster puts, that's when Aubrey's mother told her aunt about it. So April 6th was the day she told her aunt that the stepdad told, that he killed her. Okay. Yeah, this is confusing because as a mom, who was the driving force behind it? It said the aunt and the uncle. Because the uncle was in her corner, and I'm glad somebody was in her corner, but it does not look like the stepdad was in her corner at all. And that would, as a mother, I would be like, no matter, of course, my child has taken a different path in life, and a lot of people aren't going to understand. I would say myself, I don't necessarily understand that community, but I'm not going to let you kill my kid, though, no matter how much I don't understand or what in that scenario, because that still not, I would say that's still not right and doesn't make any sense. I would say at the end of the day, you can live your life, and I would say, part of my life at this point. And if you're not accepting of that, just leave. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to be here. But don't kill my kid, though. Jeez. Yeah, but I don't understand why the police aren't looking into him, because it's not saying anything like the police are like, hey, he's a prime suspect. It's like, no, we're still looking into the case. Somebody says, I'm intrigued by the use of x-rays to identify the body because Aubrey's aunt alleged that her immediate family did not provide law enforcement with a proper DNA sample. This will be a tricky case to solve. I think that being able to prove her immediate family members lied about certain aspects is the best place to start. Says it. Okay, there's a couple things under here. Somebody says the way medical X-rays is phrased, I assume that they accessed her medical records and compared X-rays in there to X-rays taken at the autopsy. I've seen that done for preliminary identification in the past, and it makes sense as a quick and cheap way to test identity. And then somebody under that puts, it is routine. However, if law enforcement was provided with a false DNA sample, they could verify that. Now, too, I think it would make the case even more unusual if the allegations turned out to be true. Yeah, I still don't understand how. I don't understand how the stepfather is not a prime suspect. And again, like the other person put, the mom lied, and we know that she lied about it, and she's still not a suspect. Yeah, this is Oh, okay. Hold up. Somebody under here says they, I guess, know her. Let's see. Says they put, boy, oh boy, this is both incredibly heartbreaking news and really personally terrifying. I live nearby and have gone urban exploring in, I guess, Peacher around 5 times within the past 6 years at least. Every time I went, I explored Cardin on foot, and there's some interesting buildings still standing there. I've known about Aubrey's case. Oh, okay, they've known it. I thought I read it wrong. But I've known about Aubrey's case for about 3 years, and I've always really hoped she was okay. I had no idea every time I was visiting Peacher, I probably got within 500 feet of where they found her remains. So, and they said they're not going to sleep well tonight. Okay, I read it wrong. I thought they were saying they knew her. But, yeah, condolences to her, and hopefully they find the killer. Yeah, I'm not. I'll say the one thing that I keep going back to is the two-spirit thing. I never even knew that's what that meant. So I'm assuming they're Native American. If I had to take a guess. So I wonder because I know. Well, I don't know, but I know Native Americans have certain laws. I keep saying I know, but I believe that Native Americans have certain laws where their land can't be touched and you can't, it's in a sense sacred. So is that a reason they're not searching because police can't? I don't know. I'm interested. That story will be read on Friday. Because right now our schedule will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think. For right now. Well, this week anyway. I might get a Saturday on there. But yeah, I will definitely. This story, I'm moving to the top because I wanna read into the background of this story a little bit more to understand because I'm pretty sure I'll discover a little bit more because we have the background. Get some background into Aubrey. But all right. So, and here's probably another one. Because this is another update. Maybe I shouldn't read updates without. Maybe I should read the other one first. I don't know. Okay. Well, we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is first, and then. Because the thing is, the original posts on here are super long. Because like even this one, the original post, I would have to say, well, this one's not as long, but still, doesn't fit my schedule. Oh, and this one is basically part of the LGBTQ community. Again. Oh, okay. This is gonna be interesting. All right, let's read this one. Okay. It says the update on Jimmy J. Lee's remains have most likely been found. Hello everyone. I wanted to bring a recent update to a case I've covered quite a long time ago. The disappearance of a 20-year-old student of the University of Mississippi, Jimmy J. Lee. They said the write-up can be found on Reddit. It was written about a year ago. In short, in 2022, Jimmy had recently graduated from the University of Mississippi and was about to start graduate school. He was interested in social work. He was a public policy major and worked on a baby formula and toddler hygiene drive with the Lafayette County Child Protective Services. And I guess he was interested in politics. Jimmy was known for his open, friendly personality and tended to be the life of the party wherever he went. He was also an outspoken member of the local LGBTQ plus community. He identified as a gay man and was the director of the school's LGBTQ outreach and an active member of UM's Student Government Association. Jimmy was last seen 6 a.m. on July 8th as he was leaving Campus Walk Apartments in Oxford. Witnesses said that he appeared to be wearing his pajamas. His last contact with family was a message that he sent to his mother at 2 a.m. wishing her a happy birthday and saying that he loved her. His vanish was noticed in the evening when Jimmy's parents and sister couldn't reach him via phone. Jimmy's car had been found 2 days later, about 2.5 miles away from campus at Molly Bar Trails apartment complex. It was suspected that Jimmy had visited someone who lived on campus at the complex, and sniffer dogs were brought, but nothing was found. On July 22nd, a man named Shelton Timothy Harrington Jr. from Grenada, Mississippi, had been arrested and charged with Jimmy's murder. It was established that Jimmy was killed around 8th of July. He and Harrington were involved in the same black organizations at campus, and the two were in a sexual relationship. The two had sex before sunrise, then got into an argument, and Jimmy left. Harrington then lured Jimmy back to his house by promising him something they never did before. Jimmy was seen walking down the stairs of the Campus Walk Apartments around 5:58 a.m. and parking at Molly Bar Trails apartment complex around 7:25 a.m., with a man identified as Harrington walking by a few seconds later. Harrington then allegedly strangled Jimmy and hid his body somewhere between Grenada and Oxford. Harrington also retrieved a shovel and a wheelbarrow from his parents' house in Grenada on July 8th. Since then, the trial related to Jimmy's murder had been held, and it was declared a mistrial after 9 hours of deliberation. Okay. A big reason for it was insufficient evidence to charge Timothy with murder. All right. Okay. I guess this must be an update. It says, on the 3rd of February, news broke out that the human remains have been found by deer hunters in Carroll County. They haven't been officially identified by DNA, but the results are pending. But a gold necklace with Jimmy's name had been found along with the body. Jimmy uploaded a photo with an identical one only 2 days before he was killed. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office is being evasive, but the sheriff, Clint Walker, has acknowledged the photo of the necklace that reporters of Mississippi Today had sent him. Once the DNA results are in, the original poster will update the post. And it looks like they were, because as of the 5th of February, and I wish this guy would just put February 5th. As of February 5th, the day after the post was released, the remains have been confirmed as though of Jimmy's through DNA. His cause of death or any other details have not been released. I feel like a necklace with Jimmy's name that we know he had I feel like a necklace with Jimmy's name that we know he had is as good as an evidence that we have at this moment. I would say that for now, it's pretty safe to assume that the remains are intact. I said, it's been such a long story, from Jimmy's disappearance to finding the evidence of his murder, the arrest of Harrington, and the trial. Everyone knew that Jimmy was gone. He was even legally declared dead. And yet, this is such a sad end to it all. Still, I hope that now that his body has been found, some evidence can be collected and justice can be served, and Jimmy can be laid to rest properly. A new date for Harrington's second trial is being scheduled. My condolences to Jimmy's loved ones and his community as a whole. He seemed like such a bright spot who was an important and beloved part of many people's lives. I have no doubt that Jimmy did a lot of good in his short life, and his passion and kindness for caring after vulnerable people is very admirable. It's awful that his life was taken from him in such a brutal manner and so early to boot. I hope that he can rest easy and that his story will continue to inspire people to look after each other. Yeah, this honestly, it seems like a lover's spat, to be honest with you. And I know it's like man on man, but even if just like just a regular, this happens just in relationships. Period. I don't think it matters if you're gay, straight, or whatever you are. But yeah, this made no sense. It seemed like two people that didn't, not two people. It seemed like one person that didn't know had anger issues. That's what it sounded like, and didn't know how to control himself, and then just took it out on poor Jimmy. And yeah, because it seemed like Jimmy was, he was standing up for his community. He was outspoken, and I wonder if what was his name, Harrington, if that's what at the same time that he probably did like but did not like um about him. Yeah, because just outspoken people in general, they they'll stick up for you, but at the same time they'll call you out on stuff. So I wonder if that was a reason. But what I do not understand is how, if somebody, if okay, if I am the prime suspect and all the evidence leads back to me, how am I getting out on a mistrial? And I know they said they set up a second case for him, but I still don't understand how it was a mistrial in the first place. What evidence could we not find to put Harrington? Because we should have been able to search the apartment because obviously he was there. Samples should have been easy to find, like skin on his nails, anything like that. But I don't know. I feel like it wasn't really the greatest job done here. I guess it is in Mississippi too. Somebody under here puts, "What an absolutely senseless crime. He sounds like he brought a light into this world in his too short life. It's great that this will most likely result in his killer being held accountable, but it can't make up for all the good he undoubtedly would have brought to so many lives in decades to come." Oh man! And somebody put on that, "You're so right. This man was changing the world for better every day. He'll be deeply missed." Ah, jeez. Okay, it says if anybody is interested in details of where Jay Lee was found, I was able to extract the data from an image shared by the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and mapped the GPS coordinates. For reference, I'm discussing the first image on the news story. I didn't have an image, but he says the location is approximately 15 miles from Tim Parent's house, and I'm assuming Tim's last name was Harrington, right? Because I keep calling him Harrington. Because yeah. So either, because I doubt, well, I can't say I doubt, I don't know, but every lead goes back to Tim. Okay, so it says, I'm pretty surprised that the sheriff's office didn't sanitize the data before releasing the photo publicly. I wonder what their standard protocol is. It may not be perceived as a big deal, but any instance of a law enforcement failing to follow protocol is a potential opportunity for a defense attorney to raise and support, influence a jury. Wait. Okay. Law enforcement and failing to follow protocol is potential opportunity for a defense attorney to raise and support, influence a jury to wonder whether they can trust other more critical aspects of the case. I guess they just meant influence, to raise and influence the jury. But that is true. This fits. Yeah, I would. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm pretty. Yeah, it's too close to Tim. Everything's leading back to him, or it's going to be one of his family members. But everything's leading back to Tim right now, and it's just not a good look for him. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I don't know how much the write up. I guess reading the original post, I could get into the background of Jimmy, but I'm not sure how much more it would give me. Just being honest. Okay, we're gonna keep going with these Reddit stories. We have a few more. I think two more, and then We'll get into another, and then good old Rolex Dave. All right. So, next story. International fugitive and suspected serial killer Sharon Kine, discovered to have been hiding in rural southern Alberta as a realtor Deidre Glabis for nearly 50 years, and says she died in 2022. In 1960, an Independence, Missouri housewife named Sharon Kine was charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of her husband James Kine and the wife of one of her lovers, Patricia Jones. Hold up, I'm confused. The wife? Wait, Sharon. Oh, Sharon might not have been married. Wait, they got the same last name now. It says her husband and of the wife of one of her lovers, Patricia Jones. Okay, let me just keep reading, and it might make sense after that. In 1960, an Independence, Missouri housewife named Sharon Kine was charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of her husband, James Kine, and of the wife of one of her lovers, Patricia Jones. While she was out on bail awaiting retrial, she traveled to Mexico and killed American Francisco Paredes Ordonez in her hotel room, apparently after luring him there to rob him. She was convicted of his death and sentenced to prison, but escaped during a blackout in 1969. Of course she did. And was never seen again. U.S. officials nicknamed her Pistol Packing Mama, but to the Mexicans, she was La Pistolera. It says, yesterday, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office announced that Sharon Kine has spent the last 50 years of her life in the bucolic Canadian town of Taber, Alberta, under the name Deidre Glabis, later Deidre L. She arrived in Taber in 1973 and with her husband Jim Glabis as new owners of the Taber Motel. She and Jim later became realtors before his untimely death. I'm going to put quotations there. Apparently of natural causes in 1979 at the age of 38. 3 years later, she married one Willie L., who died in 2011. Willie L. Oh, okay. Also, apparently of natural causes. Don't get in an argument with this woman. He volunteered with various organizations and was at one point the chairman of the Tabor Daycare, steering the committee. How ironic that a woman who murdered her husband because she wanted a life of glamour, wealth, and luxury he couldn't provide would end up in the least glamorous place on the planet. This has to be the most exciting thing to happen in Tabor since the last time the corn harvest failed. Oh, then they probably put a joke at the end of it. Really? Oh, man. Okay. Comment under here. I guess before I comment. So it sounds like this woman couldn't get what she wanted, or because it sounds like, because I thought at first it was going to say like her husband's lover, but it didn't say her husband's lover up here. It says James Kine and of the wife of one of her lovers, Patricia Jones. Yeah, that's what it says. It says of one of her lovers. It didn't say the husband's lover, unless I'm just reading that wrong. It says she was charged on 2 counts of murder in the deaths of her husband, James Kine, and of the wife of one of her lovers, Patricia Jones. It sounds like if she wasn't getting what she wanted, I'll say it's over for you. But, geez, okay. One comment. This might be the only comment I read. This is a lot. I came here from searching her name. I knew her for years as D. Oh, this person knows her. Oh, this makes it better. I knew her years as D. I'm in shock. I knew her about the last 10 years of her life. This is so effing wild. I've been up all night reading about this. There was never a clue about her past. As far as I knew, she only had one son in Toronto, and she had bad dementia in the end. And then they put an edit. I've received a lot of inquiries about her, so here's a quick note. She had a strong personality and stark white hair. And the age progression photo doesn't resemble her. However, the mugshot where she's looking directly at the camera and the candid looking photo of her in a green shirt are spot on. Her face didn't change much over time. She never gave any hints about this, but she definitely had a bold personality, and I honestly really enjoyed her. I don't remember her ever mentioning this, but now I'm wondering if she might have brought it up in her last couple of years and dismissed it as confusion due to her dementia. This has been a lot to process. It's deeply unsettling to realize I spent time with someone capable of these things and had no idea. The press conference labeled her as the most elusive serial killer of all time. It leaves me feeling incredibly uneasy. But the thing, okay, so, and I say the same thing about a lot of these crimes that happen. Okay, if it's 50 years and this lady died before they even knew she was, if it's been 50 years after and you find somebody, this person has lived most of their life out already. So, okay, you put them in jail and whatnot, which, okay, they deserve jail for, the crimes that they did, but they still had 50 years to live and 50 years of prime living at that point. So it's not going to be the same like putting somebody in jail like when they're 20 or when they're like 15 and you put them in a jail, let's just say even 20 years. Those are prime years we're talking about right there. It's a totally different scenario that we're talking. If you put somebody like one of our last cases, the guy over Ireland that he was working with the FBI because one of the FBI members was one of his boys. Yeah, I was like, they didn't find him until he was 80. Okay. Like, at that point, I've lived most of my life. Of course, I don't want to be in jail, but would I rather be in jail? Would I rather be in jail from 20 to 40? Or would I rather be in jail from 70 to 90? Like, if I had to pick, I would go 70 to 90. I don't know how much time I have left, to be honest with you. And I would assume not that much. But from 20 to 40, those are probably going to be the best years of my life, if I had to take a guess. So I don't know. That's my thought about this thing. When I keep saying 50 years have gone by, we haven't found somebody. 40 years have gone by. I'm like, yeah, this person has lived most of their life. In this scenario, this person knew the killer, but didn't realize who she was. And honestly, she said she knew her the last 10 years of life. Yeah, she was more than likely a changed woman at that point because she couldn't do half of the things that she could do when she was younger. If just on my guess, she probably, she still had a bold personality, but she couldn't really get up and off people like she was in the beginning. Sounds like she was poisoning people, and then it would be listed as natural causes. But or she was a scientist. I don't know. They really didn't have much background into her for real. But I don't know, man. That's the thing when they don't find these people and then they find them years later. I know if the family's still alive, there probably is some closure or something there, just knowing they found the killer. But for me, just thinking about it, like they can't. If they go to jail at 80, they can't do anything. They probably weren't doing anything anyway. And let's just say this lady was still alive. This lady has dementia at this point. She don't remember unless she gets back. If she slips back into her right mind, it's probably a few minutes. Let's just say it's an hour, and it's usually not that long. And she slips back into her right mind, and then she's back out of it again. Not really, and depending on how bad it is, probably truly doesn't remember who she is or what she even did in the past. So that's why this person's like, hey, you knew her. Everybody under the comments say, hey, you knew her. What was she like? What was she like? Honestly, I haven't read the comments. I'm going to take a guess that she already said she had a bold personality. But she probably is going to like, yeah, I was a friend. She probably told crazy stories, had a good time with her if I had to take a guess. Um, oh man, somebody puts a oh, she doesn't respond. She hasn't responded. Yeah, but yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, that would be my whole thing about this. Yeah, somebody puts a whole article under here. And should I even read it? Okay, this is the only comment I'm gonna read because this one I don't even know if it's relevant or not, but I'll let everybody else figure out as I read this thing. I always ask this question in situations like this one. Recently, I discovered a female academic over in the Balkans who interviewed Nadia Sakic, maybe Sakic, before she died. If you know anything about World War II and Yugoslavia, you probably heard about her husband, Dinko Sakic. He was one of the commandants of the notorious Jasanovic, maybe? Concentration camp. I'm not really aware, but I'm learning. Concentration camp. Really a combination of subcamps. And Nada was a camp guard at Stara Gardiska, which was a concentration solely for women and children. Yeah, for women and children. Nada was also the half sister um, of V. Lubric, because Viejo Slav Lubric, I don't know how to say. The guy who ran the camps at the highest level and who was responsible for the murder of at least 100,000 Serbs, as well as thousands of Jews and Roma. She was able to interview Nada because Dinko and her were deported by Argentina and extradited to Croatia in 1998, where Dinko stood trial for war crimes. So after all that, all I wanted to ask her is if I decided to reach out and what was she like. I didn't reach out since I couldn't find recent social media posts from her. She was writing a book on the Mahabuzda Islamic, the woman who ran the women's section at the camp, and Nada closely worked with her. There's actually a famous photo of them together. It says famous to the original this poster, wearing the Ustase uniforms. And those uniforms, the Ustase was the group of the Croatian ultranationalists, the Italian fascists, and the Nazis appointed to run Croatia. Okay, but what was I done read all this. I might as well finish reading it now. It says the overriding question is what she like. The academic gave a brief rundown of her interviews in which she stated that Nada was very careful to obscure her own crimes. About Maja Buzdon, she said that she was a loyal member of the Ustase, which really in context of the camps means she killed a lot of Serbs. So did Nada. But she skated because the Croatian court said they couldn't prove her crimes. By the time Serbia issued an arrest warrant, she had already been dead for months. Bet you never heard of any of this stuff. If you outside the Balkans have. Now you know. Go into the rabbit hole and start spreading the word. More people need to know. Okay, maybe I just read something. Okay. Jeez, that done went down a rabbit hole. I thought it was about to tell me about how they knew the lady. And it definitely didn't. I went down whatever ultra nationalist. I don't even know what that Croatian ultra nationalist. I no idea what that is. Okay, but I've given my bit on Sharon Kai. But oh, okay. Oh, and the original. I don't know if it's the original poster. Let me see if it is the original poster. Oh, it's not. But they gave an update. But I guess the original person who wrote about Sharon on Reddit, it was 8 years ago today. So okay. Um, let's do this because I need to use the bathroom. I will be right back. Oh man. Over here. Check my phone. Oh, I'm over here looking. Okay. And I'm over here looking at the time. I'm over here looking at the time now. I realized, all right, I might not be able to get everything I thought I would be able to get done, but these are some interesting stories that Reddit definitely has. This next one. Ah, jeez. I don't even know if I have time for this one. Let's see. Let me think. How long does it usually take me to read a story? 20 minutes? I don't even know if I have time, real time. But am I going to read it? Let me see. Um, might as well. Might as well. I'll figure out the time. 20 minutes. Yeah, I should be fine. 25 minutes. I'm over here trying to think of how long it might take. I don't think it'll take 25 minutes to read the story. But I'm gonna make sure. Why did okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and get going. This will be the last story because I know I have to go after this. All right. Man, I wanted to talk about Rolex Dave. But the problem is Rolex Dave is longer than this story, I think. Yeah, Rolex Dave is. All right, so next time I will start with Rolex Dave. Or maybe I can come back and do Rolex Dave. I don't know. I might not have time for that. Or I can do a special episode tomorrow. Oh, I can start a Patreon and do Rolex Dave. Maybe do that. Yeah, but nah. Wait till the channel get big enough. All right, let's go. Last story today. Tyler Davis left his wife and friend at their hotel for a 3 a.m. walk and never came back. Okay. All right, this is another Reddit poster. They say, after submitting this write up, I listened to 2 episodes done by Crime Garage in April 2019. They did a lengthy interview with Brittany that clears up some questions and gives more background and details. I'm adding to the write up. The boldest parts are from Brittany's comments. Brittany Davis, a mother of a 20-month-old, was turning 23, and she planned to celebrate. She and her husband Tyler, who's 29, were booked for a night at a hotel. With Tyler's parents watching the baby, Tyler and Brittany had met while working together in 2013. They got married because they got married and became parents 4 years later in 2017. All right, hold on. All right, when was she 23? Because the math not mathing. All right, hold on now. The story of 2019. Okay. Wait. Maybe they were younger because the math ain't mathing. Because all right, let me read this next part. They got married and became parents 4 years later in 2017. They lived in the town of Wilmington, Ohio, about 60 miles from Columbus, the weekend of February 23rd, 2019. They had booked a hotel to stay at the Hilton Hotel at Easton Town Center in Columbus. The hotel is part of a complex of stores, restaurants, and bars, so there will be plenty to do on their getaway. I wouldn't say I'm bad at math, but in 2019, Tyler was 29 and Brittany was turning 23. So she technically wasn't 23 yet. Okay, in 2019. But let's give her 23. They met while working in 2013. 7 years. 7 minus 23, making sure my math is right, is 16. 7 minus 29 is 22. All right. They got married 4 years later when she turned 20. 22 and 16. That is Still happens today. Did not. All right. All right. Let me read the story. I forgot. I'm on a time restriction. In order to be able to take off both Sunday and Saturday, Tyler had worked 10, 12-hour. No. Wait. No, that can't. No. Oh, 10 to 12-hour shifts for the previous 6 days. Okay. In order to be able to take off both Saturday and Sunday, Tyler had worked 10 to 12-hour shifts for the previous 6 days. He got home around 3 a.m. on the 23rd, and the couple got to bed around 5:36 a.m. This wasn't completely unusual for them because both had night jobs and got home at 2:30 or 3. But Brittany says the 6 long days had left Tyler exhausted. On Saturday the 23rd, they met Tyler's parents for lunch before handing off their son to be cared for by his grandparents overnight. Tyler and Brittany checked into the hotel about 5 p.m., where they relaxed for a few hours. About 7 p.m., they were joined by a longtime friend of Tyler's. Most sources have not named him, so I will refer to him as a friend. Man, go ahead and name him. A couple of Brittany's friends were also supposed to join them, but didn't show. The three left the hotel about 9 p.m. to sample what Easton Town Center had to offer in the way of nightlife. They had drinks at Bar Louie and Adobe Gillis, leaving the latter around midnight. They then moved on to the Dollhouse, a local strip club, and were there till closing time around 2 a.m. Brittany was leaving the ladies' room when closing time came, and she overheard Tyler arguing with the doorman about having to wait for his wife. Tyler fell asleep in the Uber on the way back to the hotel, and when they arrived, he was confused as to where they were. Brittany said he is hard to wake up, especially if he's been drinking. She described him as pissed off and grumpy. He argued that this wasn't their hotel, and the Uber driver was getting impatient. When he finally got out of the car, he took off walking away. It is now 3:20 a.m. Brittany said that she would follow him, but Tyler's friend offered to do it. Brittany went up to their room to recharge her phone. She came back downstairs about 3:30 a.m., but neither Tyler nor the friend were in sight. Tyler didn't pick up when she called his cell phone, but he called back around 3:37, saying he was just taking a walk around the block and would be back soon. Shortly after this, the friend came back to the hotel alone, saying Tyler was just blowing off steam and would be back soon. Brittany kept trying to call Tyler, but never got through to him until he called her about at 4:10 a.m. Okay, that rules out the friend because I just assumed the friend had did something. He said that he was walking in the woods and could see the hotel and he would be back in 5 minutes. He called again a minute later, but the call was only a few seconds of silence before being dropped. When Brittany called back, it went straight to voicemail. That 4:10 call is the last time she ever talked to Tyler. I wonder if Tyler fell in a river or something like that, just off of this first read. The friend said that he was going to go home, saying Tyler would be back in a few minutes and not to worry. He said this was a hard place to get lost in. They argued, but he did leave shortly after that last call. Brittany started calling around to friends about what she should do. She tried looking into the direction where Tyler was headed, but stopped short when she got to where there were no lights. I'm surprised the friend didn't go back to help. Just mental note. Brittany called hospitals and the police station in case Tyler had been picked up. A friend who lived locally went out with her in the morning to drive around looking for Tyler. She thought he might have passed out or fallen asleep on the bench outside. They searched throughout the hotel, but they didn't find Tyler. Brittany has maintained that Tyler was not an outdoorsman, and that to him the woods could have meant two trees right beside each other. She was also concerned that he still sounded so confused. Finally, Brittany knew something was seriously wrong. She called Tyler's parents at 9:30 on the 24th. She called the police about 11 o'clock. At first, the police were dismissive. Brittany says one told her that her husband is a grown man and has the right to leave her if he wants. Someone told her that they wouldn't be able to begin a search for 48 to 72 hours, an officer said. And do you know how many missing people there are in Columbus? She countered. Do you know how many husbands I have? Do you know how many fathers my son has? Brittany and her friends didn't want to wait the 48 hours. One friend started combing the woods from mid-afternoon till dark. Brittany went out with friends late on Sunday night into the early hours of Monday. They noticed that there was a hotel on the other side of the Easton Center that looked exactly like the Hilton, but smaller. So it was possible Tyler was seeing the wrong hotel, which expands the possible search. I just thought of something. When did the friend leave? Because after the friend left, they couldn't get back in touch with Tyler. Is that, or was it the other way around? And it went straight to voicemail. The friend was said he was going to go home, saying that Tyler would be back. I told you, I'm keeping that friend right up there. The police began the search on Tuesday, using dogs, divers, and helicopters in the search. They told Brittany that they had searched the pond behind Costco. A dog hit near one of the ponds, so it was fully dragged and then later searched again. After 2 weeks, there was no sign of Tyler. In October 2019, police released the results of the surveillance video near the Hilton and tracking from Tyler's phone. Video showed a group arriving at 318 and Tyler walking away diagonally through the condominium complex on the eastern site. His phone tracks him to the Abbott Labs parking lot at Seltzer Road and Morse Crossing at 3:53 a.m. before losing contact. There was also a voice recording of Tyler using his phone, apparently asking for directions to the hotel. Beyond this, there has been no new evidence and no contact. Brittany passed the polygraph. The friend declined to take one and has retained a lawyer. The friend did help in the aftermath of the disappearance. Yeah, no, he helped. He helped, but Tyler, in my eyes, from what I'm reading, he helps, but Tyler's still making phone calls while he's helping, but after he leaves, there's not another word from Tyler. That's what's making you a suspect right now, and then you retain a lawyer too. Yeah, yes, he's looking like a suspect. In March, in hopes of generating more leads, Brittany started the Facebook group Bringing Tyler Davis Home. She appeared in the April 23rd, 2019 episode of True Crime Garage, an Ohio-based podcast with a large audience. Social media grabbed onto the case, but it has not brought out any results. Instead, Brittany has been subjected to having her personal details known, being criticized on a personal level as well for her role in the disappearance. Really? Tyler's friend also had his information leaked. That is who I feel like he should be suspect number one. I forgot the written poster says he's not gonna release it. But if he already had his information leaked. All right. In a 2019 interview, the head of investigating unit cited the social media frenzy as part of the reason that the department had released little information about the investigation. On December 21st, 2021, Tyler Davis was declared assumed deceased by Clinton County Court. Lauren Razik, the attorney representing Tyler Davis' wife, Brittany Davis, shared the current statute. I think I meant statute. For a presumption of death proceeding pursuant with the News Journal. They indicated a missing person is declared legally deceased after missing for 5 years, or when the person has disappeared and been continuously absent from the person's place of last domicile without being heard from and was at the beginning of the person's absence exposed to a specific peril of death, even though the absence has continued for less than a 5-year period. And that's from the Wilmington News Journal. In considering this case, I'm struck by the tight timeline. With the surveillance footage showing the group got back to the Hilton at 3:18 a.m., it happened in less than an hour. We have this timeline. 3:18, party dropped off at the Hilton. Tyler is confused, decides to go for a walk. 3:30, Brittany returns to the hotel lobby and doesn't find Tyler or the friend. Starts calling Tyler. 3:37, Tyler calls Brittany, apologizes, says he's going for a walk around the block and will be back soon. 3:40, the friend returns alone, saying Tyler is blowing off steam. 3:53, Tyler's phone stops recording his position. Last ping is near Abbott Labs site. It says it's 1.5 miles from the hotel. 4:10, Tyler calls Brittany. Okay, so I might be wrong. I didn't realize the friend got back at 3:40. Okay. 4:10, Tyler calls Brittany saying he's walking through the woods and can see the hotel and will be back in 5 minutes. 4:11, Tyler calls again, but there is 4 seconds of silence before the call is dropped. When does Tyler's friend say he's leaving? Oh, it says four. Okay. It says Brittany calls back at 4:12, but the call goes straight to voicemail. 4:30, friend leaves the Hilton to go home. The problem is the friend with Brittany that entire time? That would be another thing. The original poster puts, my best guess is that Tyler walked into a pond or other body of water. The wetland adjacent to the Abbott property seems a likely place. It's been searched multiple times, but it sounds like a hard place to find anything. The blog Murder and Malice describes it as a waist-high water with thick vegetation. On the map, it looks sizable. The blog post has screen grabs from surveillance video showing the relative positions where Tyler was walking, the parking lot, and the wetlands. If Tyler was this close, he might have stumbled into a swampy area in the dark. It's not a stretch to assume that he was drunk and tired after a long night. Brittany described him as sounding confused on the phone. It also is possible he had a medical episode and ended up underwater. I somewhat doubt foul play, as it would have to be opportunistic, and it's hard to see a motive unless someone followed him from the hotel to rob him. Accident seems much more likely. They said there was a screenshot from a TV clip. Can't really do that on podcasts. It says they tried to recreate. This person tried to recreate. Oh, thanks for the subscriber. I didn't realize anybody was even listening. They tried to recreate that path on a larger screenshot, including the hotel and what looks to be a wetland or swampy area that was mentioned. It's a mile diagonally from the 353 ping to the hotel, so it's doubtful that Tyler was looking at the Hilton when he said he could see the hotel. He must have mistaken it for another building and made for it. And that's when he disappeared and had an accident. This person also puts, I definitely do not think Tyler left to start a new life or in any way on purpose. His calls show that he was trying his best to get back to the hotel. It's hard to believe and sad to think about him being so close yet so far away, with likely a tragic consequence. I wonder why. Oh, this person is about to say what I was just about to say. I am curious about why the friend came back alone. I'm literally about to say that. I'm like, why did the friend just not stay with him? Leaving Tyler to his own devices. It does not seem Tyler wasn't all there. I guess even possible, even likely, that Tyler shook him off, told him to leave, and he complied. My thing is, I know what my friends anyway. If you're my friend and you're in that state of mind, I don't care how many times you tell me to leave. I'm not going to leave, and we'll probably start fighting, but you'll be back at the hotel. So, yeah, it doesn't matter, because especially if I know you're not in your right mind too, because let's just say there was a swampland, and because obviously he's still confused and not all the way there. Yeah, he probably, if he slipped and did fall in, yeah, if he's not, like, he doesn't have all his functionality, yeah, he probably did fall in and probably couldn't get back out. And that's probably, and maybe he did make a call, but if he's underwater and that phone, 2019, the phones should have still been good. So, but if you try to make a phone call underwater, I'm pretty sure that phone probably got damaged, and that's probably why the phone went off. I'm surprised nobody has found the phone though. To keep going, again, I'll read that paragraph. He said, I am curious why the friend came back alone, leaving Tyler to his own devices. It does not seem like Tyler was all there. I guess it's possible, even likely, that Tyler shook him off, told him to leave, and he complied. The family has not given up hope, but almost after 6 years and little information, it is hard. Brittany spoke of how this affects her son as well as herself. Throughout her interview, she sounds honest and, in my opinion, not like she was holding anything back. I hope for her and her son's sake they get closure on this case. Yeah, I would, because unless I don't think she set him up at all. I just want to start by saying that I don't think she set him up at all. But if she did, hand the baby off. But I don't think she would have told her friends to come, even though her friends couldn't make it. And they went to all these different places. I don't know, because his friend is the one I suspected at first. Just being honest. But timeline's not matching up. Yeah, the time's not matching up. And unless he was not with Brittany during that time, then he should be innocent as well. If he wasn't with Brittany and they can't account for where this man was, then he should be a prime suspect. But if he was with Brittany that entire time, and then decides to leave after he gets back, then yeah, because unless you could trace that he hadn't left his room or anything from that time, from was it 3:40 to 4:30, if they could trace him going into his room, not leaving, and then at 4:30 he leaves his room, cool. But if he's just wandering after meeting Brittany around 3:40, saying that he went off to blow some steam, and then all of a sudden he shows back up and says, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and head out," then no. It does say Tyler Davis is a Caucasian male, 5'10" tall, 195 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He has a red birthmark that runs from his hand to his neck and his chest. He was last seen wearing a green and blue flannel shirt, white t-shirt, blue jeans, and Nike sneakers. Anyone with more information about Tyler's disappearance is asked to contact Columbus Police Department, 614-645-4624. Yeah. Man. This is scary. I don't know. I believe that it probably was an accident. And he accidentally fell. I think my original statement of he accidentally fell and he could not probably fell in a pond, a lake, whatever. I'm not sure of that area, but fell into probably some body of water and probably could not get out. And that's probably why his phone died. Only thing is, I'm surprised they can't find the phone because they say it was in a parking lot. Because I guess that would lead to a clue. But yeah. Let's go to the comments. Somebody says, I lived in this area for years. And whenever I hear about this case online, I always feel like the narratives are a little misleading about the topography of the area. All right. This is a very busy urban sprawl area. Yes, there is vegetation in the area, but this is not a case where there's some vast swamp waiting to be combed. Oh, okay. We can't rule out homicide, and we can't rule out that the body is nearby. I just think that the write-ups on this case are always misleading by using phrases like wetlands and swampy areas. All right, and then they tell the original poster that they thought it was a great write-up, but just some misclarification. Somebody also said, I thought that the missing element was drugs. It sounds like they were partying to me. If my husband goes missing, I'm calling the police first. Yes, wouldn't even have to be hard drugs. I've been disoriented from too strong and edible. He's high, or maybe just really drunk, and the area is unfamiliar. He becomes convinced it's the wrong hotel altogether. Yeah, he did do that in the Uber, so I don't know why I didn't put drugs in there. My mind wasn't even thinking nothing like that. I was just thinking he was drunk. Somebody says, or edible and alcohol can really put you off your game. Combine it with being sleepy, it's a recipe for a disaster. I've known a lot of men, especially those who work physically labor-intensive jobs, not understanding that resting is important. Combined, and I can see it being deadly. Then somebody else puts, are you saying that his wife didn't call soon enough? Drunk men wandering off doesn't usually necessitate an immediate 911 call the way a kid does. She called his parents at 9:30 in the morning, 911 at 11, and was blown off. If she had called earlier, she just would have been blown off again. I'm not saying that they weren't maybe doing drugs, but I don't think her behavior points to any kind of drug shame or worry at all. I also might be misunderstanding you. Okay. Yeah. Somebody also puts, thanks for saying I keep thinking swamps and wetlands in Ohio and put question mark. Every time I heard locals talk about it, they say what you said. It's very urban. Okay. Okay, somebody said this made them curious, so they went to go look it up on Google Maps. It's absolutely a developed area. The hotel is near a Costco parking lot and a Legoland Discovery Center, but you can also find wooded lots with small ponds within walking distance at almost every direction. Blendon Woods Metro Park is about a mile away, but the wrong direction. So it's not a deep wilderness or anything, but bodies are notoriously hard to find in even lightly overgrown areas. And right under this, somebody puts, at least in my medium dense, very sprawly area, the landscape gets built up into pads and spots where big box stores and other big complexes are built. This creates lots of runoff areas and ditches that can be biggish, overgrown, and always underwater. They figured out how to make less runoff from big parking lots in recent years. But back then, lots would end up in these de facto man-made little wetlands. It seems like those would have been seen as obvious possible endpoints and fully searched. But we've seen enough to know that doesn't always happen and isn't always feasible. And somebody also agrees and puts, plus they agree, and plus search fully doesn't necessarily mean they'd find the body if it was there. Search and rescue teams moving in grid patterns with dogs can and do miss human remains. Yeah, this is and the thing about the map thing, unless you can backtrack it back to 2019, it would be tough to do it today because that would be 6 years ago. Yeah, this is an interesting one because it's very possibly there's no foul play here, but there's also an instance where it could have been an unknown entity. Maybe we don't know. This is what makes this specific mystery yeah, pretty interesting. It's interesting because you don't know what could have happened to this man because I feel like if he fell into let's just say a swamp or one of their little wetlands they say that's there, his body should have popped up or should have floated if he drowned, right? I would have assumed so. So unless could he have been taken but to never be seen from or heard from again? His phone's not pinging anymore. There's no telling what his battery was at. Nobody would have checked that before he left to see, because if they had been out all night, if he's constantly using his phone or whatnot, possibly his battery, because it was 4 a.m. in the morning. Possibly your battery go through a whole day. That his phone could have just died. But that's what makes this case. That's the dilemma in this case, and hopefully they get the family gets some sort of clarity because you lost a father, you lost a husband, yeah, lost a lot. So I'm not sure, totally not sure, but I will end it there. I will get into Rolex Dave the next time. I will make it a priority to read that first. But if you like this type of content, go ahead and like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But other than that, I am going to get out of here.